Hello everyone, this is lesson 3.5. Today we're going to learn how to graph equations in slope-intercept form. Also convert from standard form to slope-intercept form and use the slope to determine if lines are parallel. So the first question is 2x plus 3y equals 6. This is in standard form, which is ax plus by equals c. And we want to convert it into slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. So to do this, you need to move the x term onto the other side of the equation. In this case, we do that by subtracting the 2x over. So we have 3y equals, and see how the x term comes first. So I'm going to put negative 2x first, and then plus 6. Then it needs to be just y equals, but this says 3y equals. So we're going to divide each term separately by 3, and then simplify it. So y equals, the m is your slope, so that would be negative 2/3 here. So we're going to pull out the fraction and write the x next to it, and then plus 2. So that is the equation in slope-intercept form, where the slope is negative 2/3 and the y-intercept is 2. So to graph an equation, the first step is to plot the y-intercept, which in this case is 2, so you put a point at 2, and then use the slope to get additional points. You want to plot as many points on the graph that would fit. Since the slope is negative 2/3, that means the negative sign would make it go down 2 and over 3. Always go over to the right. And then down 2 over 3. We can make points on the left side of the graph by going in reverse. So up 2 and left 3. Up 2 and left 3. Now that we have as many points on the graph that can fit, you would take your straight edge and connect the dots to make a line. Lines have arrows, so we're going to put arrows on both ends. So slope is negative 2/3 and b is 2. For the next question, we have 3x minus 3y equals 12. So since the 3x is positive, we would start off by subtracting it over. And then the 3y is negative, so you keep the negative sign in front of it, equals negative 3x plus 12. Then we're going to divide everything by negative 3. The final answer would be y equals, since negative 3 divided by negative 3 is 1, then the slope would be 1. You can write 1x or just x. And then since 12 divided by negative 3 is negative 4, you'd write minus 4. So the minus sign here comes up to be, or the negative sign here comes up to be a minus sign. And that is the equation. So we'll start by plotting the y-intercept at negative 4, and then using the slope of 1 to graph more points. So up 1 over 1 for each point, and then also we can go down 1, left 1 to plot points in reverse. And that's the line, where the slope is 1 and the y-intercept is negative 4. For question 3, we would start by subtracting x over and get 4y equals negative x plus 6, and then divide everything by by 4. So we would get y equals, now this would be negative, remember there's an invisible 1 here, so negative 1/4 would be our slope, so negative 1/4 x, and then plus 6/4 or 1.5. For slope, you always want to write it as a fraction so you know what your rise and your run is, but the y-intercept you can write as a decimal so it's easier to plot. So negative 1/4 for slope and 1.5 for the b. So when you plot your y-intercept at 1.5, since it's in between the lines, when we go down 1 over 4, we're going to be going down 1 in between the lines, and then over 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So your point will be at 4 and then 0.5. And then we can plot a point on the other side by going up 1 over left 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the other point is at -4 and then 2.5. So we'll take our straight edge and connect those 3 points. For question 4, we'll do one more of these. So question 4, we would start by subtracting the x over. So -3y equals -x plus 9. Divide everything by -3 and get y equals, and then this is the same thing, we'll have 1/3, but the negative signs will cancel, so it'd be positive 1/3 x and then -3. So 1/3 is your slope and -3 is the y-intercept. So you start at -3 and then go up 1 over 3, up 1 over 3, also down 1, left 3, down 1, left 3. And then draw your line. So I'm going to give you a minute to try number 6. So go ahead and try number 6, and then you will tell me what the equation will be. So the equation ends up being 7x minus 3, because you subtract the 7x over, but since you divide by -1, the signs get flipped and it becomes positive 7x minus 3. All right. For the word problem, it says to get from one floor of the library to another, you can take either the stairs or the escalator. You can climb the stairs at a rate of 1.75 feet per second, and the escalator rises at a rate of 2 feet per second. So since those are your rates, that means that's the slope for each equation. You have to travel a vertical distance of 28 feet. Write an equation to model the vertical distance in feet you have left to travel. Whenever you write an equation for how much you have left to travel, the slope is always going to be negative. So you'll start off with d equals for the distance you have left to travel, the rate, which is -1.75 t, plus the amount that you're starting with, which is 28 feet. And then the escalator would be d equals -2t plus 28. Now, to graph the equations, the easiest way to do this, since these equations are a little bit different, is, and it'd be hard to graph to use a slope of -1.75 to plot points, we can find the intercepts. Remember, to find the intercept means to set the other variable equal to 0. So we already know that both of the y-intercepts are 28. So I'm going to do this one in purple. So for the stairs, it'll start at 28, and then we can find the t-intercept by setting d equal to 0. So 0 equals -1.75 t plus 28. So I'm going to add the 1.75 t over, divide by 1.75, and that would give us an answer of 16. So that means it takes 16 seconds to reach the floor that you want, the second floor. So we're going to put a point at 16 and then connect them. And for the escalator, if we set d equal to 0, we would add the 2t over, divide by 2, and get t equals 14. So it takes the escalator 14 seconds. So put a point at 14 and then draw your line. Notice I'm not putting arrows because time and distance cannot be negative. So we're only working with the first quadrant here. All right, and then for part C, how many seconds did you save? You saved 2 seconds. So not a big difference there. For the slope questions, it says 2 lines in the same plane are called parallel if they do not intersect. Since the slope gives the rate at which a line rises or falls, so two lines with the same slope are parallel. So the slopes will be equal if they are parallel. So let's figure out the slopes of these lines. For line A, so m sub A just means the slope of line A. The slope is 1 over 1, 2, 3, so 1/3. The slope of line B would be up 2 over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so 2/5. 1/3 and 2/5 are not equal. So those are not parallel. Let's try the slope of line C. You're going up 1 over 1, 2, 3. So since that's 1/3, or if you go up 2 over 6, 2 6 is 1/3, that means that line C and line A are parallel, so we can say line A is parallel to line C. Okay, and last but not least, a question that is similar to one you've done before, just one extra step. If you want to show that these two lines are parallel, you would set up the slope formula between them, and then you'll solve for k. So for line 1, the slope would be 0 minus -2, or 0 plus 2, over 0 minus -4, or 0 plus 4. And that would be equal to the slope of line 2, which would be 5 minus 7 over k minus 2. So we will simplify and then cross multiply since the k is in the denominator. So 2/4 is 1/2. Equals -2 over k minus 2. Next, we'll cross multiply. So 1 times k minus 2 equals -4. 1 doesn't do anything, so this is just k minus 2 equals -4. Add the 2 over, and we get that k is -2. Okay, and this last question is an exit ticket, so you can try it on your own and graph it on one of the other graphs on the previous page. Thank you for watching and have a great day.